great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful but frigid Monday, December 8th, year of our Lord 2025. My Picardo's Jeweler watch tells me it is 9:11 a.m. Well, this is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because we survived Pearl Harbor, and there's a plaque on Lackawanna County Courthouse Square where almost 70 Lackawanna Countyans were present at that horrendous attack. And it's the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our friend John Basiliga and his great Eastern Roofing Systems, have made us and kept us free. Like Matthew Pekulski, Music, Salvatore Alaimo, Yatesville, Gordon Pisak, Parsons section of Wilkes-Barre, William Dale, Duryea, Walter Babbage, Uniondale, and Donald Miller, Muncie. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It could not be parceled out to groups. It could not be controlled by the government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use it. Because armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny, shockingly, surprisingly, interestingly, created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. Well, this Bob Cordaro Show, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a world that's gone insane. A Democrat Party that's gone insane. A leadership class that has gone insane. They're not even pretending to act on your behalf or to help you. They're not even pretending it. So another week begins, and it begins with a recognition that yesterday was Pearl Harbor Day. The attack of the Japanese, the sneak attack of the Japanese on American forces, the main part of our Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor. I don't know if it's still the case, but they claim that from the USS Arizona, one of the ships sunk in that harbor, that there's still oil bubbling up. It's really, it's an amazing tale. And I mentioned here, I guarantee you, there's dozens of others from other areas, but Charlie Spano and his gang put up a Pearl Harbor memorial to people who were there from Lackawanna County. I don't know that Luzerne County has done something similar, or any of the other counties. I think it was 67. It's absolutely stunning when you think about it. I always say it doesn't matter where you go. There'll be somebody from Northeast Pennsylvania there. So mind your P's and Q's, no matter where you're traveling. 570-883-0098 to discuss this or any other matters. Tomorrow, Rick Bigelow is going to be on to talk about Pearl Harbor. It is never too late. We knew the anniversary was on the 7th, so we wanted to do it on our earliest point. By the way, we've got, and I'm hoping we talk about the Army-Navy game a little bit, because John Perillo, U.S. Naval Academy graduate, combat veteran, he is going to be on with us to talk about whatever we do on Monday Musings. But I want this weekend is that really the only, arguably, certainly on 1A level of college football, it may be the only college football game. The rest are pros. So we'll see. Hey, this Thursday, and it's not too late to get in on this. I would love to meet you. We're welcoming authors Chris Finazzo and Mac Birkbeck to the WILK Performance Studio right here, 305 Route 315 Pittston. Noon to 1 o'clock, right after the program. Q&A, I will host the meet and greet with the authors and me too, I guess. Buy one of the books, get it autographed. You must RSVP by Wednesday, December 10th. Seats are limited, as you can imagine. And you RSVP, go to WILKNewsRadio.com, and you'll see events. And you press events, and then scroll down, you'll see the event. And you just give your email and submit it, and you're in. And then you could also call during the program. The Bulldog will take your call. So our normal 883-0098 event. He'll ask you for he'll have your phone number, but phone number and email and name, obviously, and then we could do it that way as well. And only during my program, because I don't know how long the Bulldog's going to be here. What do I know? So Bulldog. We might as well get it on the table while we have a minute here. He sent me a text that he was in the emergency room yesterday for his leg. Now in Dunmore, as I've instructed everybody, we call that a leg. And he went through some headache yesterday, and I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys, other than Johnny didn't have a great weekend, but I certainly did. Friday, what did we do Friday? Cutie and I went to happy hour down at Terra. And they've got a great happy hour, by the way. Like $10 cocktails. Like it was very reasonable. In one of the most beautiful places there. We saw my friend Mark Calamino. We were talking to a bunch of people. I had the pleasure, two of my favorite performers, pianists, over the weekend. Kenny McGraw was there on Friday night. He was not performing, but that's even better because I got to talk to him a little bit. And then Saturday, Cutie and I went to, there's this pop-up Christmas bar at Lackawanna College in what used to be called I don't even know what it was called, but it's on Adams Avenue. Really, really well done and fun. We met up at the Baileys, and we saw a bunch of people we knew there. My man R.W. was there with a gang. And Larry and Danielle. It was a whole gang of people, great people. Visited with them, and then went to I'm trying to remember where we went to a Terra first on Saturday also. We love that place. Yeah, we went to a Terra, then we went to the Christmas bar, and then I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant. Why is it blanking? I'm blanking on it. We went with the Baileys, and I what the heck? Margie and Todd, and had a blast. And Paul Ardito was there, Zambuca Grill. Paul Ardito, and he's been doing this for so long. He was fabulous. Paul Ardito was there, and I was just so great to see him again. And then yesterday, my grandson and my son and daughter-in-law came over, Ben, and we visited with him. And Chauncey was just out of control. Chauncey was out of control. He's so excited that my grandson was there. Oh, that's what we did first. Cutie's remind. How could I forget? Well, Cutie wanted something from Picardo's for Christmas. Now, you tell me about this. She wanted something from Picardo's for Christmas. So, I love the place. I love just hanging around there. Never mind buying things. So we went down there, and we got there before close. They closed at 5. They're open 7 days a week. Anyway, so we go down there, and Cutie had to get something on behalf of someone. A beautiful little cross. And then I got Cutie's, because I told her, I said, Cutie, let's get the Christmas present, your Christmas present now, then you'll have it for the whole Christmas season. And we went down there, and it was great. You got to love the Picardos. They are just great, and they are hard workers, and we got a great deal. It was all affordable, and just fabulous. So, yeah, Picardos, that was the first stop on Friday. Then we went to a Terra. Or was that Saturday, Cutie? I don't remember. It's Saturday, that was. Yes, Sorry, as Cutie would say. So, great weekend, nice weekend. Good to be back with you guys, as it always is, by the way. I say on Friday, God willing, I'll be back with you Monday at 9. And, well, we're going to have to start saying me and the Bulldog will be back with you Monday at 9, God willing. But it was nice. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. what do you say but wow after that? Ugh. Well, 1854, Pope Pius IX proclaimed the Catholic dogma of the Immaculate Conception, that Mary, the mother of Jesus, is free of original sin from the moment of her own conception. Holy day of obligation today for Catholics. And we're going to play different versions of Hallelujah every day for the right to the holiday. Is there a better piece of music? And there are so many amazing versions. The Andrea Bocelli version, obviously a great one to start with. And you want to talk about, it's not necessarily a coincidence. Her name is not a coincidence, but our friend Mary Regina, who sends her beautiful Mother Teresa's every day, and it's her birthday. I never made the association. I know Mary since I'm 5 years old. I never made the association with, and obviously, hence her name, Mary Regina. Born on the Immaculate Conception. So happy birthday, Mary Regina. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with the Veterans Tribute after this. Our Veterans Tribute this day and every day, this hour and every hour. Brought to you by a great patriot, John Basiliga. Today featuring his first company, Eastern Roofing Systems, headquartered in Jessup, Pennsylvania. One of the largest, and they are the best, commercial, institutional roofer in the eastern United States. And guess what? They bring that expertise right here to you because they're headquartered here. They can do your house or small building. Eastern Roofing Systems. Matthew Pekulski, Music. We lost him November 19th. Born in Scranton. He was a graduate of Riverside High School and Penn State University. He proudly served all of us in the United States Marine Corps. Prior to retirement, he was employed by the Department of Defense in the Engineering Directorate. He loved golfing, playing tennis, and fly fishing on the Delaware River. His family says, absent from the body, present with the Lord, he will be greatly missed by his loving family and always remembered in their hearts. His sister and other family members survive him. Matthew Pekulski. Salvatore Alaimo. We lost him at age 97, November 15th. He was from Yatesville. Born in Pittston. Salvatore enlisted in the United States Marine Corps as well. He honorably and heroically served us in World War II and the Korean War. He later received an honorary degree from Pittston Area High School. Country first, his own life second. After military service, he began his career at the United States Postal Service, working in New York City before returning to Pittston. He was past president of the National American Retired Federal Workers Association. He later worked as a Pennsylvania State Constable, a position he held for decades. Remember the DuPont VFW, AMVETS, Honor Guard? He recently received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2025 DuPont VFW Veterans Day ceremony. Sal was a member of the Browntown Italian American Club, Avoca West Side Club, the Yatesville Bocce Club. In addition to his parents, he was preceded in death by his wife, Beatrice Breck Alaimo. Sadly, two of his sons, Salvatore and Angelo, as well. He survived, though, by his daughter, Andrea, Bill, his son, Bill, grandchildren, 5 of them, great-grandchildren, 3, great-great-grandchildren, 2, and also his beloved sister, Carolina Dranya, Staten Island. Salvatore Alaimo. Our great veterans this hour by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Today breaks the sun. Windy with morning snow showers, says Allie Gallo. High temperatures holding in the 20s. We're at 19 right now. Tonight, partly cloudy and frigid, 6. Morning sun, then increasing clouds with a chance of snow showers on Tuesday, high 28. Wednesday breaks the sun and clouds, milder with a mix of rain and snow showers, high 38. I say very often, we know we've had a successful program if we laugh. We know we've had a success, but we want to also learn. We also want to become outraged because there's always something we've got to point out, and we want to be inspired. Well, Hallelujah did that, and somebody texting, I love Murph. Tell him great music. I'm taking some credit for the Hallelujah. We decided, Murph and I, that we would start with one holiday / Christmas song today, then 2 tomorrow, 3 Wednesday, 4 on Thursday, 5 on Friday. The following week, 6 on Monday, 7 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday, 9 on Thursday, 10 on Friday, and then it'll be all Christmas music. That's how we do it here. That's how we roll. That's how our man Murph rolls. So, but Hallelujah, a different version. And Bulldog, I'm tasking you and Murph now for a different version of Hallelujah every day. And maybe we'll start finishing song. And then when Hanukkah comes, then we'll break because I've got to play Adam Sandler. And I've asked a couple of my religious Jewish friends that, I don't want to be blasphemous for the great holiday of Hanukkah to, if it's not right. And I was told, no, it's good. It's funny. We like it. So we're going to play when Hanukkah starts, which I don't know off the top of my head when it starts. I'll figure it out. But we got to play the Hanukkah song, and we usually close the show with that. But before Hanukkah, Bulldog will close with Hallelujah every day. Maybe not today because we already played it in full. All right, let's go to Larry. He's in Plymouth. He's got a theme song, and he is on air. Larry, how are you, my man?
Hey, Bob.
How you doing?
Pearl Harbor, Bob.
Yes.
I was there, and it was
not on that day, but subsequently.
No.
Subsequently.
But yes, every day there is sunny, But it was at morning when we went out. You go out on a boat to the memorial, and I don't know about other people, but when I was going out, Bob, it was the eeriest feeling to Pearl Harbor, surrounded by all mountains, and to see that day those planes coming over the mountain.
Mm.
And when you get out there, Bob, you go on the memorial, and the back wall, it's a big wall, all of marble, and all the names of the guys who were killed is there. And you said about oil still coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It does. But, Bob, I don't know if it's true or not. I heard that they do that.
Oh, you mean it's manufactured, not that it's happening?
Yeah,
okay.
Right. Now,
mm-hmm.
I don't know for sure or not, but you know who's responsible for a lot of the memorial, Bob?
No.
Elvis Presley.
Really?
He paid for a lot of it.
No kidding.
Yes.
As Johnny Carson would say, I did not know that.
Yes, but here, Bob, here's one thing. I still think that Roosevelt knew about it to get us into the war.
There's theories about that.
I know, but here's one of the things, Bob. Most of those ships that were hit were older ships, and it was just a coincidence that our most important ships, the 3 carriers, weren't there. They were out to sea, so I'm still questioning it. But, Bob, one thing, there's going to be a good movie is coming out. It's about the lead Japanese pilot who led the other ones on the raid.
Mm-hmm.
And he went out and he stayed over Pearl Harbor, even being shot at with anti-aircraft and everything, till every one of the planes dropped their bombs and took off. And he did make it back. And in fact, after the war, Bob, he came to live in the United States, and he loved it here. And there's a movie coming out about it, and from what I hear, it's going to be a great movie.
Oh, neat! I'm still Tora as my favorite Pearl Harbor.
Oh, God, yeah. Well,
yeah.
See, when I was 5 years old, in the Shawnee Theater in Plymouth, I saw From Here to Eternity with Burt Lancaster and Buck.
Yeah.
Okay, and when I saw that, Bob, ever since then, I wanted to go to Hawaii, and I finally got there in '99.
Nice. Never been.
It's something. I mean, I don't know if I would want to live in Hawaii, but it's something.
Well, thank you for that, Larry. Because we're thinking about Pearl Harbor today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Because we got Rick Bigelow on tomorrow with the pathway to Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
The lead up.
yeah.
We'll see if he touches on some of the
Yeah,
things you're telling me.
You know what Toro means?
Something like attack, doesn't it?
No, it's something tiger.
The code name?
Yeah,
for the
it's like
attack,
tiger, or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you'd have something for me.
Oh, but just one more thing, Bob. Too, I got to tell you.
Of course, it means something, Larry.
Bob, but Bob, I got to tell you something about Plymouth. Something has to be done about Plymouth, Bob, because you know what destroyed this town? Democratic rule, and it's still destroying it. And what got me really bugged was the other day I went out my front door and there was a sign on my door because I didn't clean my sidewalk, and they were threatening me with this and this and that. And I'm just going to mention that they're a bunch of scumbags.
All right. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The only thing in Plymouth, Bob, that is good that they do in Plymouth, they have that stupid Kabasi Fest by all them stupid Polacks. And
we love that. I love that Kabasi
well,
Fest.
I'm one of them.
And you know, by the
Polacks,
way, I know you are, but listen, the other part is the Bulldog he's an annual judge at the Kabasi contest. I don't know what his qualifications are.
Just one last thing. Do you think you two might get a chance to come down and see my tree?
We may do that. We may. I don't know, but it's hard to tell. But
yeah, well, it don't even have to be before. It could be between Christmas and New Year.
True. All right. Well,
okay.
Bulldog's got to get his legs straightened out, and after that,
okay.
Yeah.
But there's a special invitation for you.
And I appreciate it, Larry, very much. All right,
okay,
my
Bob.
friend.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Our man Larry from Plymouth. Let's take a break. We'll be back. Guess who's holding? Our girl Lorraine. We'll be back. The Four Seasons. Murph says this date, 1962, they had the number one hit, Big Girls Don't Cry. Bob Cordaro back with you. On the Pearl Harbor thing, a couple of interesting texts. Somebody says, supposedly there were 2 forward radar operators on the island. They alerted forces that there were incoming Japanese planes. Remember, it's early Sunday morning. And they were told that they were to stand down, that they were one of our task force coming back in. Remember, those aircraft carriers were out there outside the harbor. And they point out the one radar operator was from Nanticoke. Isn't that? I'm telling you, the people from Northeast Pennsylvania were all over Pearl Harbor on that fateful day. Somebody else texted in, Bob, Pearl Harbor's a shallow water port. The Japanese were not thought to be a threat there. The torpedoes they used on their planes needed to be dropped and dived to 100 feet before their guidance system took over. A simple modification allowed them to operate in shallow water, and bingo, they worked when our intelligence thought they wouldn't. Huh. Thank you for that. Another LTS, Larry isn't wrong. The Democrat machine has ruined Plymouth, says Kim. Interesting. Bob, there's a version of Hallelujah with all the voices done by one person. It's called the One-Man Choir, Hansel's Hallelujah. It's truly amazing. The artist's name is Don Vask. You write that down, Bulldog? Don Vask, V-A-S-C. He's not. I'm not getting much of a response from him. Boy, how are we going to get Lorraine in here? We're not going to get Lorraine in here. It's just too late. Because I look at my Picardo's watch, it's 9:59 and change. So we're not going to get Lorraine in now. We're going to have to get her in after Monday Musings. So let her know that. But it is time for the news. Bob Cordaro with you and the eponymous program. We're going to roll on. Lots to do, guys. Lots to do. We got Monday Musings. We got the Monday Wrap-Up with Chet Parlavecchio in the 11 o'clock hour. We've got Lorraine with a poem and much, much more on Immaculate Conception Day. We'll be back. great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:08 on the nose here in the great Northeast this beautiful Monday, December 8, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our friend John Basiliga and his great Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like Salvatore Limo of Yatesville, Matthew Pekulski of Music, Gordon Pisak of the Parsons section of Wilkes-Barre, William Dale, Duryea, Walter Babbage, Uniondale, and Donald Miller, Muncie. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment, promising you that our commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity, a necessary sanctuary of sanity for all of you. And it's needed. These Democrats have gone insane. I still almost can't believe it. Somebody texted in, Bob, today's the feast of the solemnity of Mary, not the feast of the conception. I can always stand corrected, but I don't think you're correct there. Man, I don't think you're correct. And I'm reading the history, the Catholic dogma of the Immaculate Conception. Now, remember, the Immaculate Conception is not Jesus being immaculately conceived. It's Mary being immaculately conceived. She was born without original sin. I'll stand corrected, but that's my understanding. And that's from reading. By the way, on a much lesser note, Alyssa, who does the morning show next door here on KRZ, I come in and I go to make my tea. And I see these cookies laid out there, and they don't look store-bought. And I have one, and they're awesome. So naturally, I go back and have another one. And then probably even more naturally, I go back and have another one. And then I see the email from Lissa that she baked Grandma Ruth's cookies over the weekend. She brought them in to share. Now, this has actually bothered me. Johnny Lucas, no need to rush, she says. I made you your own because I know you like them. And she put them in by his console. Like everybody loves to feed the bulldog. Oh, God almighty. It's outrageous. They don't know what I deal with because I have to work with him. Then he puts on the nice act for everybody else. And he's like a savage bulldog with me for 3 hours. It's a tussle. Anyway. Well, it's Monday. And you know what that means every time we can make it happen? That's right. It means Monday Musings with Naval Academy graduate John Perillo. And I told him that he's got to tell me about the Army-Navy game, not in addition to what he's covering. And here he is, our man, John Perillo. Hi, John.
Hey, how are you doing, Bob?
Great. By the way, Mary Regina may have cleared this up. We're agreeing with our listener, but not completely agreeing. Monday, December 8th is the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Correct.
That is the celebration for today. I think so I disagree with the listener on a minor point, but, well, actually a major point, but I disagree with him on the point, but we're on the same page overall. Yeah.
That's good. I was Googling as you were talking about that to make sure I had it right myself.
Yeah. And I never, I learned that, I can't even remember when, probably in prison when you had time to think about these things, that it related to Mary's immaculate conception and freedom from original sin, not Jesus's.
Right, absolutely. And yeah, at some point we'll have to get into the Marian doctrine of the Catholic Church because it's fascinating. And but I think I owe to you and your listeners kind of a review of the law of the sea and the rules of armed conflict as they apply to what's going on off the shores of Venezuela.
Yes, please.
And to begin with, there are laws of armed conflict, and there are also laws of the sea, and they're not the same. And you can Google the laws of the sea today because they've been formalized, but the actual laws of the sea started as a tradition that goes back centuries. And it's really hard to imagine the purpose of those traditions or how sacred they are if you haven't actually been to sea. And, sailing and being in a boat offshore is an experience like absolutely no other I've ever had. And that's because it's an isolation like no other. And everywhere you look when you're on land, there's some option for safety if you know what you're doing, no matter how bad the weather is or what's going on, right? A reasonably fit person can walk 50 miles or more if they have water in order to reach safety. It might not be comfortable, but you can do it. But when you're on the ocean, there's nothing. And I remember jumping off a boat and swimming about 30 miles offshore. And I was a really good swimmer back then, but there's something that really focuses the mind when you realize that there's no bottom for thousands of feet and no shore that you could possibly reach on your own, and animals that would view you as a nice snack, right? And of course, when I did that, the weather was calm and warm. But if that boat had drifted away faster than I could swim, which wouldn't have required that much wind, or if it's stormy and you get swept off your boat or it sinks, you can't see more than maybe 20 feet until the next wave comes, and then you see about a quarter mile at the top of the wave until you get dumped in a trough, and then you can't see anything again. And what that means is that nobody can see you either. And no matter how long you've been at sailing or how good a swimmer you are, everyone who goes to sea thinks about the possibility of that happening. So the rules of the sea have always included that you make all reasonable attempts to rescue people who are shipwrecked, period. And the payback for that is knowing that everyone will make the same effort for you. And the laws are so ingrained that when the Germans first used submarines, the British were reluctant to build their own because when a sub sinks a ship, there's no room on the sub for survivors. And that offended the British naval sensibilities, right? They didn't want to be responsible for leaving survivors to bob up and down until they got eaten or died of hypothermia if it was cold or dehydration if it was hot. So that's the background on the law of the sea, right? Now, the rules of armed conflict are different. And when there was any chance that some badly damaged Japanese cruiser might be salvaged and towed back to Japan for repairs, we torpedoed it until it sunk. And I guarantee you that Admiral Nimitz didn't have to give a direct order to double tap a ship, even if there were survivors still aboard. Right?
I love people talking about this that you could tell have no clue. These politicians, they have no clue what they're talking about. Double tapping.
Wait till I'm done, because you might not agree with everything right here. So if a machine gun emplacement on Iwo Jima stops firing, that didn't mean that the Marines wouldn't throw grenades in the hole to ensure that nothing came out. Same with a window in Fallujah or some mud hut in Afghanistan. And if you think that that's an ugly way to fight, well, you're right. War is ugly. Now, all of that changes if a ship strikes her colors, hauls down her flag, or surrenders, or if a soldier in a foxhole comes up with their hands up. In that case, the rules of war are that you cannot kill them. And all those rules are written in a different time, and the violation of those rules made warfare even more horrendous than it already was. And always remember that things like the Geneva Conventions only apply to countries that have signed onto the treaty and only to uniformed combatants. And that's why spies get shot. They aren't in uniform. So that's the background on the rules, right? The issue for our current example of drug boats is that there is no flag of surrender because the boats in question aren't military boats. There are no colors to strike because some drug lord doesn't fly a flag. So while it's true that the damaged boat could be repaired and still deliver drugs again, the reason that it couldn't be sunk is because neither the damaged boat nor the intact boat represents a military threat, so the rules of armed conflict don't apply. And with all due respect to the congressman in the clip before my piece, the president's authority to use the military without congressional approval is constitutionally limited to attacks on U.S. territory or its military. And even if you want to argue that we are being attacked, his authority is time-bound, and we're well beyond those limits. And yes, other presidents have ignored this law in that regard, and they were also wrong. And here we get into language, because as listeners to my piece, though, language really matters to me. Are we really at a war with drugs? Are drug runners really terrorists? And look, let's agree that the importation of drugs into the U.S. is a horrible thing, but it's not a war, or we better hope it's not, because then I'd hate to see what a war on poverty looks like, right? And that's part of the reason why I despise the misuse of the word war. If you want a war, fine, but nothing I have seen regarding drugs or poverty or illiteracy or anything else qualifies to call them a war, thankfully, right? The reason why narco dealers try to get drugs into the U.S. is because people in the U.S. buy them. You'll never get rid of drugs being trafficked without addressing demand. And I'm back to the example that we have, for some reason, decided that having people crawling around on their hands and knees in Colorado towns is free speech, and we can't restrict these people for either their or somebody else's safety, right? Unlike war, nobody buys a war, but somebody's buying all these drugs that were in those boats. So we're not at war, and the rules of war don't apply. Now, all that said, there are some very good reasons to want to overthrow the Maduro regime in Venezuela. They are a threat to our national security, particularly by their ability to restrict access to the Panama Canal. It wouldn't take an advanced military, and they're not, to damage that major shipping transit point, and they are what I would call kind of a new Cuba, right? They're inviting countries that have an interest in weakening the U.S. to join them, so they're like loosely allied with China and Iran and Russia and you name it. And all those countries have advisors in Venezuela, and they do use narcotics to finance their government operations. You know, drug running isn't just something that happens in Venezuela. It's something that they want to happen, right? So where does that leave us, right? And listeners here probably already know the answer since it's me. There's a process for dealing with threats to the U.S. like this. In the Constitution, the president could and should, in my opinion, go in front of Congress, lay out the threat, and ask for an AUMF authorization to use military force, since declarations of war have apparently gone out of style with people wearing fedoras. Right? If I were in Congress, I would likely vote with the president for that resolution. I think there's a real threat to the hemisphere from the Maduro regime, and we could likely topple it without too much effort. But if you do that, you will be putting at least U.S. airmen and sailors at risk, as well as probably putting Marines and soldiers on the ground. And that requires the approval of citizens of the U.S. through their representatives. And the reason that the Constitution requires congressional action is both because you never want one person making that decision ever, and because putting it in the hands of Congress puts it in the hands of the branch of the government closest to the people who will do the fighting and pay the bill, and that branch was designed to be the most accountable to the voters. And the issue that is, for most important, for me at least, is the fact that on occasion you have to kill people. Look, I spent 20 years in the Navy. I'm not naive. But Phil Klain made some comments that really struck with me. There's something deeply disturbing when I see people celebrating that or being cartoonish about it. We kill because it's necessary. And yes, you get a hoorah when your mortars take out somebody shooting at you. And yes, we cheered the A-10 pilot who wags his wings after eliminating the rifle that's been harassing your team. But hearing this or that commentator saying that they not only want to kill these people, but they want them to suffer in the process, or to cheer and laugh at the video of these people getting killed, especially by people that likely haven't ever seen blood outside of a movie set and have no idea what they're talking about, is particularly disturbing to me. And St. Augustine said that, quote, "The real evils in war are love of violence, revengeful cruelty, fierce and implacable enmity, wild resistance, and the lust of power," end quote. And he's the same guy who wrote the Catholic rules of defining a just war, so he wasn't a pacifist. And yes, we fight and kill when necessary and should be willing to do so. I was and I am. But there damn well better be no joy in it, because if there is, we're losing our souls. And that's far more important than the rest of this BS that's going on, at least to me. So anyway, I hope the background's helpful for understanding those rules and where they apply and where they don't. And
I want you actually to hang on. I want you to hang on for through this break, because I want to ask you just a couple of questions that we've delved into with listeners and others. So do you have a few minutes for us?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
John Perillo, Monday Musings. We're going to take a break and be back with John because I want to get his interpretation of a couple of issues that I had thought about and that we've discussed on this program. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Elvis. Murph says this date, 1962, he had the number 2 hit with Return to Sender. And, of course, 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued his Proclamation of Amnesty and Reconstruction for the South. Bob Cordaro back. Somebody texts in, hi, Bob, LTS. My dad served in the U.S. Navy and was a Pearl Harbor survivor. I remember sitting around the kitchen table as he would tell me stories about that infamous day. We often asked him about revisiting the island. He never wanted to return. He said he couldn't bear looking down into the depths of the water and observing the USS Arizona with sailors still trapped inside. As a kid, I never forgot him telling me that. Rich in West Pittston. Wow. Whew. That's amazing. The enormity of it, of that day, of that event. And look forward to talking more about it with Rick Bigelow. Hey, quickly, before we get back to John, December 8th, Mother Teresa. We need to know when we say yes to God exactly what is in that yes. Yes means I surrender totally, fully, without counting the cost, without asking, is it convenient? Our yes to God is without any reservations. Mother Teresa for today. Thank you, and happy birthday again, Mary Regina. Great stuff. Let's get back to John Perillo. John, thank you for hanging on there.
No problem.
One of our listeners brought up the Geneva Convention, and
Right.
I had said it is not applicable, number one, because it is not a war, number one. Number two, these are not uniformed combatants.
That's and before we go, the gentleman who called in with his father, who was a World War II and a Pearl Harbor survivor, please give him my deepest honors and respect. I appreciate that. Yes, so Bob is absolutely correct. The Geneva Convention is only between the signatories of that treaty. And, some narco-terrorist is clearly not a signatory of that treaty. And that's always been a problem, right? So when, somebody takes a prisoner like they would do in Vietnam and they would torture them, which is clearly a violation of the Geneva Conventions. Vietnam would say, well, we didn't sign that. We're not a part of that. And so we were, and they weren't, and all those things that go with it. And I think you have to understand that there was a time, and I think, Bob, I'm going to get to this maybe in a later piece about the evolution of morality. There was a story that I think I want to relate. There was a British prisoner in a German POW camp whose mother was dying, and he petitions the German camp president to, hey, I need to go home to see my mom. I'm the last of her children. And he allows him to do this. This German officer allows him to do that on his word that he will return. He gets a parole, if you will. And this British officer travels to Great Britain, visits his mom. His mom dies, and then he's heading back to Germany. And his friends are saying, well, why are you doing that? He said, because I gave my word, and if I violate my word, then nobody else will ever get parole. So there was a time when these things were different than they are now, and so we have to keep those things in mind a little bit.
All right, so let's get back now. The other issue, like going back to the Barbary Pirates, there was no declaration of war there. Jefferson just sent our people. Their success was widely exaggerated, but we've done these kinds of things, and is not tradition and precedent part of the legal backdrop for what Donald Trump is doing now?
Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, on the Barbary Pirates one, absolutely correct. However, the first 6 ships of the U.S. Navy were built precisely to fight the Barbary Pirates, which required Congress to appropriate what was then a huge sum of money. And every state representative understood precisely what that meant from a tax standpoint, because you had to raise the money to build these ships to go attack the pirates. They commissioned 6. I think they only built 4 because they ran out of money. And Congress was part of that process to send these people over to essentially fight the slave trade, which was going on by the Barbary Pirates. So, and then as I said, there is a difference between a declaration of war and an authorization to use military force. And I agree, as Bob correctly said, presidents have routinely ignored this. And here we get into a measure, it's a measure of degree, right? Well, Trump does it worse than other presidents. I don't care, right? The rules are, the Constitution is written in such a way that the president can react if the United States territory or its military are being attacked. The president has the absolute authority to respond to that. Absent an attack, then you have other rules that come into play, and that is the president can use force if he wants to, but then he has to report back to Congress within 30 days, and that came after Vietnam. We're well beyond
now,
30 days.
Once he declares them terrorists, undertaking terrorist action, is he not free to attack?
No, and the reason why is if you think about that, it's a that's a great question, by the way. If you remember, it took 10 years to prosecute the blind Sheikh Mohammed, who, by the way, is in a prison about 20 miles as the crow flies from my place, right? You couldn't walk up to him, even though
you're only 20 miles from Florence.
Yeah, exactly. As the crow flies. So,
wow.
I'm armed all the time. So anyway, but you couldn't walk up to him on the street in New York and cap him. And the reason is that even though he's a terrorist, we are different in the United States, and it is not a war, and the rules of armed conflict do not apply, and there has to be a due process because he was in the United States, right? There's a difference. And
yes,
so when President Obama
obviously, what about this circumstance? Let's keep the subject.
Yeah, so think back to President Obama using drones. Now, the issue with that one was, one, he didn't have congressional authority, and two, he was killing a U.S. citizen abroad without due process. So clearly that was a violation of the law. And we can get into the whole discussion about why the press wasn't interested in him, and they are.
We know why,
in Trump. We get that, right? But the problem is that there is no armed conflict. Right. So even if you just say that these people are terrorists or that there's a counterterrorism law, then you have that allows the executive branch great latitude in how they prosecute them, how they capture them, what they do about them. But it doesn't allow, the only thing that allows the executive to act on his own is the law of armed conflict, not the combatant's status as a terrorist.
Okay.
And again, I don't mean to be.
Now, it has not been challenged to date. It hasn't been challenged to date legally. It's been challenged politically.
Right. And I think that's a whole topic for another time.
I mean, it's not hard to find a left-wing judge to say he can't attack. You can find about 1,000 of them. Well, there aren't 1,000, but you can find about 500 Obama, Clinton appointees, Biden appointees to say this is illegal. How come that hasn't happened?
Well, I think a couple of things. If we were to grant the administration's position that the drug cartels are foreign terrorist organizations, which I don't grant, but if we were to hypothetically grant it, right? You still can't you can't attack them on the open seas because they're not part of an armed conflict, right? That's the law, right? Now, I think the issue is that, in my mind, is that Congress has continuously abandoned its role in enforcing laws in the United States. The Congress could and should call a hearing, bring the people in front of it and say, what authority are you using here, cut off funding, whatever it is they want to do. And for some reason, Congress just decides again and again and again to abdicate its responsibility. And not just in this particular case, but when Congress, for instance, says, the administration shall, or this organization, this body shall come up with money to do X, Y, and Z. That's an abdication of their responsibility, right? The Constitution is very clear.
So bottom line, because we got to go. Bottom line, John, you believe that the attacks on these drug boats are not lawful?
I believe that the attacks on the drug boats are not lawful. That's correct.
Okay. I differ with you on the opinion, but it's good to hear it. All right, my man. From some.
Hey,
By
thank
the
you.
way, you know what?
Yeah.
I really only care if someone disagrees with it, as long as they come from a normal place.
Well,
You're not
and that
coming
doesn't
from
mean-
insanity. You're coming from a completely different direction, and I get it. And I get your argument. So I appreciate that.
And thank you again, your listeners. I'm not, and I don't have the wisdom. This is why I'm not the president of the United States, right? I understand the position he's in, and I don't take away from that. All I'm saying is that there are rules that we should follow because the rules were put in place because sometimes your guy's the president, and sometimes your guy is not the president. And so by having consistent rules, that way, that then if a president acts in any direction, you go, well, at least he followed the rules, even if I disagree.
All right.
That's the purpose of all that. So thank you again to you and your listeners for the time, and I hope you guys have a great week.
All right. Thank you. John Perillo, Monday Musings, a different take. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his first and biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems. That's who we feature today. And they are the premier roofing contractor for institutional, commercial, and industrial purposes on the Eastern Seaboard. And guess what? They bring that buying power and expertise to you, to your home, to your small building, because they're headquartered in Jessup, and they know how to get it done. Eastern Roofing Systems. Gordon Pisak. He died November 11th. He was 86. He was from the Parsons section of Wilkes-Barre. Born in Wilkes-Barre, Gordon was a Navy veteran. He literally worked for over 30 years in the newspaper business, retiring from the Citizen's Voice, where he was a pressman and later distribution manager. He and his late wife late wife Marie were season ticket holders for the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, members of the Penguins Booster Club. They traveled. They cruised. They visited all 50 states. A trip to Poland and Russia was a highlight of their travel adventures together. His wife of 61 years, Mary Marie Cerniak Pisak, preceded him in passing. Gordon Pisak. William Dale, he was 89 when we lost him November 5th. He was from Duryea, born in Old Forge. William was a member of Nativity of Our Lord Parish Church in Duryea. He attended Old Forge High School, enlisting in the U.S. Navy 1956. He proudly served us for 20 years in the Navy. During his military career, he served through the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Vietnam War, retiring in 1975 with the rank of E8 Senior Chief Petty Officer. After his military service, William worked as a civilian employee for Schott Optical Duryea, Tobyhanna Army Depot, and the Coca-Cola Company in Pittston. William was known for his remarkable mechanical ability. He could fix just about anything. Skilled in carpentry, electronics, welding, and all things mechanical. He had a deep passion for his antique car collection, but his greatest treasure was his wife, Dolores, and their family. He was preceded in death by his grandson, tragically, Matthew Klimaszewski. He's survived by his loving wife of 69 years, Dolores Fortini Dale. His children, 10 grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren, sisters, and other relatives. An incredible legacy. William Dale. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Today breaks the sun. Windy with morning snow showers. Temperatures holding in the 20s. It's sticking at 19 as I speak, at least outside these studios. Tonight, partly cloudy and frigid, low 6. Tuesday morning, then increasing clouds with the chance of snow showers, 28 Tuesday. Wednesday, breaks the sun and clouds, milder. Mix of rain and snow showers possible, high of 38 degrees. All right. Well, it's Monday. The Eagles are playing, and you know what that means. It means the Pie Man, Peter Della Porta. Oh, I can't get enough of our senator. And with no further ado, our man, the Pie Man, Peter Della Porta. How are you, brother?
Robert!
We had to have a discussion about something a little more serious than the Eagles, so it extended. It extended and delayed your appearance here today.
Okay. Well, I wanted to add, instead of Federer, maybe we should have, we can give Adam Schiff an education on what a shipwrecked sailor looks like.
He's too stupid. It's just, he's unreachable. We don't care about that pencil neck, googie-eyed goofball. We don't care.
Oh.
Well, Pie Man, you're a St. Joe's prep guy. So very quickly, that means you've got at least some affinity for Notre Dame. And they've opted out of the bowl game after the, whatever that crew is, the CFP, snubbed them for a ranking.
Right.
What do you think of that? I like it.
Well, who who is this group? I mean, who the people who make these decisions, Bob?
I know.
You know, like
I'm stunned because they know the kind of Notre Dame brings a lot to the party, and not having them in a bowl game, someone's going to lose money.
Yeah, Notre Dame is one of the best, polls on TV in terms of viewership.
Yeah. Well.
Oh.
All right, so you don't have many thoughts on that. All right, well, let's go to the subject at hand.
The Catholic schools.
The Eagles are playing this evening. Talk to me.
Yes. Well, Bob, they're on Monday Night Football, and welcome to Week 14. The Eagles are playing tonight. The Eagles are 8-4, and they square off against the 8-4 Chargers. They're in California, the game. Our Eagles are coming off two decisive, crushing losses. One to the Dallas Cowboys, 24-21, and the Chicago Bears, 24-15. I'm announcing to all Eagles fans we're now officially in panic mode. The Eagles should have beaten the Bears.
I can feel it in your voice.
If we play the Bears 10 times, we should beat them 9 times.
Yeah.
But, that team, you saw it the day after Thanksgiving, Bob. They lacked, energy, enthusiasm, urgency. They lacked in effort, and they lacked in discipline. They were dominated in every area of the game, including were outcoached and psychologically overwhelmed. Looking over the past 2 games, Bob, this is extremely alarming. The Eagles are now in a toxic situation where the highs are still really high, but the lows are really low. The body language stinks. Their defense last week, Jalen Carter and Jordan Stars, which are 2 upfront stars, they were no-shows. And the defense and the Bears came into the link and ran the ball down their throat, running 281 yards, averaging 6 yards per carry, on the backs of Kyle Monge and St. Joe's Prep DeAndre Swift. The issues were on the offensive side of the ball were both the offensive coordinator and the players. There's serious quarterback issues with Jalen Hurts. He was misthrowing wide all game. He can't see open receivers because he's not looking at the whole field. He's not running the ball. And Jalen says the issue is they're playing not to lose mentality and ball security, which, that doesn't win games. There's no creativity. They only were 4 for 12 on 3rd downs, while the Bears were 10 for 17. Again, penalties plagued them. 7 for 44. They had a fumble, and the time of possession was really terrible. 40 minutes. Versus 30 minutes.
Pie Man, now listen to me. I love Eagles fans, and one of the reasons I love you is because you never get over your gripes. But we got to talk about the next game. What's happening tonight? How much time do you think we have?
Well,
you're obviously not over the Bears game. We get that. Let's talk about tonight.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, quickly.
The Chargers have the 3rd best defense in the NFL. They have great playmakers at every position. They're averaging 275 yards per game. The Eagles, I believe, have more talent than the Chargers. And the quarterback, Justin Herbert, isn't 100%. He just had surgery on his non-throwing hand. And the 5-man front that they throw on defense gave Eagles a real problem there in Dallas. They got to put their offense together, and the offensive line has to do their job. The edges have to play with much more success with sacks. And I think Vic Fangio will do what it takes to make the necessary corrections. Jalen Hurts needs to do the RPO and the read option. Bob, these are desperate times right now, require desperate measures, Okay, so my predictions, Bob.
Yes.
Okay, if Herbert plays, it's going to be, my prediction is 28 to 26 Eagles. If not, it's going to be 24 to 14 Eagles.
Okay. So we go to a more defensive game, you see.
They're giving the Chargers 2 points, and the over-under is 41.
I thought he was out for sure. No?
No, I think he's going to find a way to play, Bob.
All right.
It's his non-throwing hand. You know, they put a screw in it, and it's, going to be in a cast. But, yeah, he's going to be struggling with that a lot. And it definitely will pay a toll on him for sure. Now, real quick, the playoffs are coming up, and this is a must-win. It's the crunch time of the season, Bob, and the rivals seem to be peaking at the right time. The Eagles have been rudderless ship all season. In the final games, they need to finish 3-2. If they go 2-3, Bob, they're going to lose the division. If the Cowboys win all 5, they're going to lose the division. So they got Dallas Cowboys, who will have the record of 11-5-1.
Now listen, our man Slick texts in. He says, "Bob LTS, if the Pie Man picks the Eagles tonight, he's lost all credibility for me. And you have picked the Eagles tonight."
Well, he's not taking into consideration Justin Herbert's playing with a broken hand.
All right.
And they got to get their act together, Bob.
All right. Well, let's hope they do. So the prediction is he's got a dual prediction, one with Herbert, one without. All right.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Next week is your Raiders coming up on Sunday.
They're a joke. It's sad to say, but all right, friend. Thank you, Pie Man. The Pie Man cometh. The Pie Man speaketh, and now the Pie Man goeth.
All right, Bob. Take care, my friend.
Have a good one,
fly,
man.
Eagles, fly.
Thank you. We'll be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Ricardo's Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:11 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, December 8th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our friend John Basiliga and his featured company, Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like William Dale of Duryea, Gordon Pisak of the Parsons section of Wilkes-Barre, Salvatore Limo of Yatesville, Matthew Pekulski of Music, Walter Babich of Uniondale, and Donald Miller of Muncie. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that because of our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of this morning. Hey, Thursday, we've got this authors event here at the studios. I will be hosting starting at noon. We've got Matt Birkbeck coming on. He is an author's author. He's one of my favorite writers. His books include The Quiet Don, about local mafia boss Russell Buffalino, The Life We Chose, about his henchman and successor, Billy D'Elia, The Wicked, his first novel set in Jim Thorpe. He's coming out with a new book called The Bookie. He's just outstanding. And then a friend of mine from, I was in 11 prisons, but one of those prisons, Chris Finazzo, Reflections of a Town Driver, his prosecution and prison experiences, along with the experiences of many others he ran across as what they called a town driver. And they'll both be here live in studio with me. And we hope you could come. You just go to events, scroll down, you find it, you give them your email, or you call the Bulldog right now at 570-883-0098 and give him that little bit of information, and he's there. Well, it is Monday, and what do? We do the Monday wrap-up. And he's not just a guy who did Dancing to the Stars with this song. He is a Penn State star, a Green Bay Packers star, an NFL coach, and guess what? He's in the New Jersey Hall of Fame as a coach in Jersey. Our man, Chester Parlavecchio. Chet, how you doing, my man?
What's going on, bud? How's your week?
Happy to have you back. It always gets better when you're on.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was a crazy week, man. This I tell you what, this got exciting, especially in college football. This opened up for a lot of conversation, a lot of reflection. This is a very bizarre week, so I figured let's start at least with the title games that were the big title games as far as the SEC and Big 12. I mean, you look at Ohio State and Indiana. Again, I told you earlier in the year, I told you I liked Indiana a lot. They're a big physical football team. They match up well with Ohio State. Statistically, the game was even. The 300 yards plus on each side. Mendoza and Sayin both were efficient. They were good. But in the end, it was just a couple plays that made it, having to get a first down when you need it, being able to monitor the clock and work the clock in your favor. And Indiana held them to 10 points, which I don't think anybody in the world would have thought Ohio State would get held to 10 points. So kudos to Indiana. They did a great job against Cignetti. How I feel. That was the guy I wanted at Penn State. He's done a great job, and you could maybe see that matchup again when all is said and done. So we go to the next one in the SEC. I think there's a new Georgia back in town. It looked like the old Georgia days. That was a complete domination. I mean, Stockton was incredible. Tyler Simpson, he was very average. He struggled, 19 for 39, didn't throw for much, had a pick. Again, they couldn't run the ball. Alabama, I mean, they just 3 for 14 on third downs, 3 sacks. Georgia, that was an old-fashioned, whipping. That was defensively, Georgia looked dominant. They look like they've taken their game to another level. Earlier in the year, you saw them herky-jerky, especially with Alabama, and to turn that into complete domination tells you how much that team has grown up in 12 weeks. So, again, they're going to be interesting come the playoff format. Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12, interesting. Texas Tech did what they were supposed to do, 400 yards plus, and BYU was horrific. They had 4 turnovers, and what we've discussed on the show before, anytime you turn the ball over, that's a recipe for losing, and that game got out of hand quick. And in the ACC, at Duke and Virginia, what do you want me to tell you about that game? I mean, there's 350 yards apiece. They were both, statistically, it was even. Went to overtime, which made a great game. Again, that's the ACC representation, and, Duke did what they had to do. Like I said, good football game, but they're not exactly 2 teams would think about I'm going to see beyond this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Then we go to Penn State, partner. I mean, the big story of the week, Matt Campbell coming to Penn State, and I've been asked 20 times already, what do I think? Well, I'll tell you the first thing I think. I like the fact that he's not a household name, that people are going to have to get to know this guy, that he's going to get in here and he's going to get a chance to earn his credibility. Sometimes when you hire a high-profile guy in a high-profile job, the expectations far outweigh the reality of what could happen in a program. This guy's going to be given the time. He has an impressive resume, and one of my favorite things, Bobby, I was fortunate enough in my career, sometimes people said I was able to do a lot with a little. And that's what I think this guy's able to do. Iowa State is not exactly a hotbed of college football. It's not exactly what you would think, the top 15, 20 teams in the country every year, although he's put them there. You would think they would get the second-level recruits where, the Oklahomas and, all the other schools, the big schools, they've mastered the 5-star recruits. Well, this guy's managed over the last 10 years at Iowa State. I mean, he's won 3 Big Ten titles. He's been Big 12 titles. He's been Big 12 Coach of the Year 3 times. And for what it's worth, he won MAC titles when he was at Toledo. So this guy's guilty of nothing but winning. I mean, so I like the fact that you're going to come in here and you're going to measure on what you get to learn about this guy. Now, the AD at Penn State, he made it clear it was his pick. There was no committee, no nothing. So he stands by this. I like the pick, given all the names that were gone, all the names that locked in quick wherever they were, from BYU, from Indiana, from Mississippi, all the big names that locked into their jobs quick. This was a good, solid pick. And like I said, I like the fact that people are going to give time to get to know him. And he's got a good track record. It should be good to see. And then we got to go, pal, to the next issue, obviously, the playoffs. I mean, what that's become. And I'm, like I said, I
know you're not a Notre Dame fan. What do you think about their decision?
From the beginning, Bobby, what I say from the beginning, and it got him. And then, wow, not very nice to declare that they're not going to play in a bowl game. Wow, that's really
what is that? What was that about?
What's that about? That's not very nice. I mean, that you're supposed to be this lovely school and all that. I think that's a kind of nasty thing to do. Well, again, then Vanderbilt shouldn't play in a bowl game. Then Texas shouldn't play in a bowl game. Then there's a bunch of teams that say, guess what? If I don't get to play in there, I'm not playing. Well, guess what? It's not done that way. And my answer to Notre Dame, go get in a conference. Play a conference schedule, play a conference championship, and these things won't happen. You won't have to lay 70 on Syracuse anymore. You could do it on credible wins. So, again, if this is a lesson learned for the Notre Dame system, then it was a good thing for their school. But given the format, hey, listen, Bobby, I've said from the beginning, anything after the top 6, you're going to have arguments. Yeah. You're going to have back and forth. If you listen to all these shows, everybody has their opinion, including me. You go back and forth because from 6 on down, there's nothing concrete. Here's my question I have to everybody, though. This is where I sell this. Over the last God knows how long, 10, 15, forever since this little playoff started with 4 teams, have they ever got it wrong? Did anybody ever think that 5 should have been 1? Never. Think about every year. The best team won. In other words, the best team was in that 4. So anywhere you go beyond that 4, you're opening it up to a whole can of worms to all kinds of discussion because there is no formula. All you're doing is creating a system where you create interest back in bowl games.
Yep.
The kids aren't going to opt out now. They're going to play. That's what this has done. But to say there's an exact science, there isn't one. You never got it wrong when there was just 4 teams playing for the play, a semifinal and a final. And in that 4 was always the best team. I remember arguing, hey, maybe 2 should be 1, maybe 3 should be 2. I never remember saying 5 should be 1.
Yeah.
There was always a separation there. So my point is we extend it to 12, and you wonder why there's conversation? I'm not for Tulane and James Madison being in this, but that's the system. That's what we're going to go with, equal representation for these conferences. But again, you're leaving out Vanderbilt. You're leaving out Texas. You're leaving out Notre Dame. Now, and I know they're better than James Madison and Tulane. But again, you're trying to cover my
And
answer
the point,
to
and I think your point is important. We're going to get the best team in the country through this process.
Absolutely.
And
I'll make you a wager right now, Bobby. I'll make you a wager right now. Who's the top 4 teams? Georgia, Indiana, Ohio State, and who's number 4 right now? It would be Texas Tech or probably Texas Tech. I didn't look this morning. You want to make a wager right now? One of those 4 wins the national title?
Mm-hmm.
I will make you a wager right now. One of those 4 wins the national title.
All right. Now,
sure.
Chester, we got to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk NFL. Our man, Chet Parlavecchio, is with us. It's the Monday wrap-up. We'll be back after this. The Mamas and the Papas. This date, 1965, Murph tells us they released their first single, California Dreamin', and what a first single it was. And then 1987, this date, Reagan and Gorbachev signed a treaty at the White House calling for the destruction of intermediate-range nuclear missiles. Bob Cordaro back on the program. We're in the midst of the Monday wrap-up with our man Chet Parlavecchio. Chet, let's go right to the NFL, my man. Fire away.
I got to move here for you. All right, real quick, we'll go through the NFL. You know, a lot of first place influence in these games this week. For instance, Pittsburgh. Let's play on a local front. Aaron Rodgers plays an excellent game. Again, looked like he threw some balls. It looked like he didn't have his poo-poo face on that he had on from the week before.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see the Steelers regain first place. They just still cannot run the football. But, again, as long as he's going to make throws like that, they're going to be fine. It was nice to see Joe Burrow back in town. Again, showed you, I know those 2 freak interceptions he had at the end, but he shows you the difference a quarterback at that level makes in the National Football League. If he was there all year round, Cincinnati would be right in this thing. But Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Just another amazing performance. He wills that team to win. You could just go over the numbers. Couple big upsets. I mean, Tampa Bay losing to New Orleans. Baker Mayfield struggled all day. That wasn't a real good effort by Tampa Bay. They seem to be sagging a little bit along with Indianapolis, rather. Daniel Jones out for the year changes the whole landscape of that division. That was brutal. I mean, for him to go down like that, Jacksonville looked good. The bottom line is, Bobby, if I would have told you early in the year, I'm going to name 3 teams, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Kansas City. And if I would have told you that they're out of the picture right now and that they're scrambling just about out all the way, you would have told me I was crazy. Yeah. But you know something? You're into a changing of the guard. And I think in Kansas City, you're really seeing that. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes have to run like he has over there. I mean, Houston went in there, played a hell of a game. They got a great defense. But the bottom line is Patrick Mahomes all year, I've never seen him take these kind of hits on a consistent basis like it's been going on all year. They've had trouble on the offensive line all year, and that culture that is Kansas City. You know, hey, listen, there's some young bucks on the horizon here that are taking the core and they're running with it. So, again, big transition in the AFC, the NFC. Jordan Love looked great with Chicago. That was a classic game again for first place. Green Bay retakes first place. They're starting to look more and more settled, although that Chicago team is getting better and better and better. They're going to be a tough out come the playoffs. And the last thing, Bobby, for the Army-Navy game, 250th
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. It's the last Division 1A college football game. It's the only one.
It's an awesome game played by a bunch of men who just love to play. They're dedicated to their country. 250th anniversary of that game of the military. It's for the Commander-in-Chief Trophy, which includes Air Force. And that game is played with such passion and it's America. When those 2 teams take it, you're talking about guys that most of them will never play the professional ranks, and most of them, their careers will end. They play just because they love it, and they're proud of their branch of the military, and they're the people that protect this country and do all the things that are necessary. You just have to love that moment in college football. To me, it's the perfect way to end it. Both teams are good football teams. Navy's nationally ranked. Army's going to be a bowl team. So it should be a quality game. Both option football teams, 2 very talented quarterbacks. It should be exciting. And the atmosphere is unlike nothing else in the country. So God bless the military and God bless their 250th year anniversary.
Amen. Well, Chester, we look forward to next week's report because there's always something happening.
You bet, brother. It always is, right?
All kinds of excitement. Our man, Chet Parlavecchio, the Monday wrap-up. We'll be back with him next week. And, Chester, you have a great week, my man.
You too, brother. Be good.
All right. We'll take our break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. On the other side, we'll come back with our great veterans. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. And his today featuring one of his great companies, Eastern Roofing Systems. Headquartered in Jessup, they are the premier roofing company for industrial, institutional, and commercial properties throughout the eastern United States and beyond. And guess what? They take that expertise, they take that buying power, and they can bring it right here to Northeast Pennsylvania for your house or small building. Eastern Roofing Systems. Walter Babich, lifelong resident of Uniondale. He attended school in Pleasant Mountain, served us in the U.S. Army and the Army Reserves. Upon returning home, he joined the family working the farm. He was also employed at Elk Mountain Ski Center and Triangle Pacific Cabinet Company in Carbondale. Member of St. Basil's Orthodox Church, he enjoyed playing the accordion, polkas, fixing and repairing clocks, watching old westerns. He liked bull riding. Served by a number of family members. Sadly, he was preceded in death by 10 brothers, 3 sisters. Walter Babich. Donald Miller, a Marine veteran, active in the community, volunteer for Hughesville, and a longtime resident of Muncie, known affectionately as Boney. He passed away at home. Born in Williamsport, he married the love of his life, Ann Buell Miller, back in 1957. They shared a devoted 61 years of married life until her passing. He was a 1952 graduate of Muncie High School. After high school, he proudly served his country in the United States Marine Corps, 1953 to 1957. 7 years as head custodian at Muncie High School before beginning a 25-year career as maintenance superintendent for the State Correctional Institute at Muncie until his retirement. He loved raising his family, tending his garden, working out, hunting, and volunteering his time at the Sun Lighthouse in Muncie. He was a member of the Muncie Baptist Church, active member of a number of community organizations, the Muncie Volunteer Fire Department, the VFW Post, the Edward J. Smith Post, the Roland Ritter American Legion Post, the Camp Sand Spring Hunting Camp, Muncie Valley Moose, and the Loyal Sock Men's Club. Surviving her 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren, an amazing legacy. He was preceded in death by his wife and tragically by his son, Thomas Miller. Donald Miller. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Today, breaks of sun, windy with morning snow showers, temperatures holding in the 20s, 21 outside the studio as I speak. Tonight, partly cloudy and frigid, down to 6. Tuesday morning, sun, then increasing clouds with a chance of snow showers, 28. Wednesday, breaks of sun and clouds, milder with a mix of rain and snow showers, 38 degrees. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Todd Rundgren. Murph says this date, 1973. He moved into the top 10 charts at number 8 with his hit, Hello, It's Me. One of my favorites. Hey, sad news, scary news. 7.6 earthquake in northeast Japan. Thank you to one of our listeners for bringing it to my attention. They're concerned about tsunami, meaning waves of as much as 10 feet coming out of this. And they've undertaken some evacuation orders in that northeast area of Japan. It's the Aomori Prefecture. Man, you just... Mother Nature is not kind. And she doesn't intend to be most of the time. It's just what is. So all of this going on. Hey, I just ran across this on Instagram. It was the cutest thing. And very important because we're in the holiday season. I'm in the spirit. I got to tell you what brought me in the holiday spirit? Going to Picardo's with Cutie. And I'm all ready to go. They have their big trunk sale Thursday, all day. But we went Saturday. And it was great. Just being there, having fun. But you always got to get back and like, well, what is this all about? And we know it's about the birth of Christ. We've got to keep focused. But someone that I'm friends with on Facebook, Michelle Lucas, she posted this on Instagram. He said, remember this season, it's okay if your dishes don't match. Your house is not, and your tree are not elaborately decorated. You don't have a big fancy gathering. Your idea of festive is more of the all is calm, all is bright variety. You opt for small, thoughtful, and or handmade gifts. And your photos are behind the scenes kind instead of posed. I just thought that was cute. You got, because there's so many ways to get off track. There's so many ways to get off track in this holiday season. And you think about, and in the midst of all of it, all these tragedies happening, you know? But it's what is, you know? So we're having Lissa from KRZ, she's the morning show with Justin. We're having her, what does she call them? Grandma Roots cookies. They're unbelievable. And she goes out of her way, and I'm going to ask her, I'm going to actually grill her on this. She goes out of her way to make one for the Bulldog. And I mocked him. He said, oh, look, one of them's a J, for Johnny. And I'm like, no, it's shaped like a candy cane. Or, a Christmas stocking. No, it was a J. This special treatment for the Bulldog has really got to end. And I'm just the guy to do it. Anyway, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Bloomberg Money Minute coming in the midst of this because we want to find out what's happening in the markets. And just pray for the people in Japan who've been affected by this 7.6 earthquake, which is pretty substantial. We'll be back. Oh, that was quite an announcement. I remember it well in college, and they played that song just like Starting Over, his last released song. 2 months after his 40th birthday. We thought that was old back then. December 8th, 1980. John Lennon killed by Mark David Chapman in front of his house at the Dakota apartment building. Now, we're finishing up with Sammy Davis Jr. and the Candyman. He died May 1990, but he was born December 8th, 1925, Harlem, New York. You know, another guy born on December 8th, and I had to skip it over because we only have so much room, but Jim Morrison, born. Died 1970, just 27 years old. But we'll finish with Sammy Davis. Murph gives us lots of great choices. Somebody says, a favorite biblical verse related to today's solemnity, the Immaculate Conception, is from Genesis. I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and hers. Enmity. The Holy Mother protects those who, like Mother Teresa was saying, surrender to God their wills in complete obedience. Our Lady will protect one from dangers to our souls, people, places, things that are harmful. Going to church soon to pray for people who haven't converted completely to God. Well, good for you. Good for you. It is. Now, traditionally, I actually don't even know. It was traditionally the Solemnity of Virgin Mary and Immaculate Conception, same thing. All of those, a mouthful, was a day of, it was obligatory to go to church. I'm missing the words. I don't know that it is anymore. We'll see. I mean, a lot of these things are gone. Hey, just want to remind you, you can sign up. You've only got a minute to call now, 570-883-0098, and tell the Bulldog you want to come to our authors' interviews and Q&A hosted by me on Thursday, 12 to 1, right here at the WILK studios. I'm going to have them on the program, and then we're going to convene in our performance space here at the studios and enjoy each other. I'm looking forward to it. Well, so much happening always. And, man, it just grabs you by the throat when you hear about something like an earthquake that Northeast Japan is suffering and the potential tsunami which is to follow. We want to mention our veterans one more time, and thanks to John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Walter Babbage, Uniondale. William Dale, Duryea. Gordon Pisak, Parsons section of Wilkes-Barre. Salvatore Limo, Yatesville. Matthew Pekulski, Music. And Donald Miller, Muncie. Our great veterans today. Guys, wreaths across America, wreath laying ceremony this Saturday, December 13th. 12 o'clock, St. Stanislaus Cathedral Cemetery, Kane Street, Scranton, PA. It's a great program and a very honorable cause. And by the way, I'm going to see Chris DiMatteo. He's at Sergei's Friday night doing a Sinatra thing. That's Friday. Is that Friday? Friday night, the 12th. Yep. Guys, have a great one. We thank you for being with us. I hope we're back. God willing, we're back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., going at it again. Rick Bigelow tomorrow on the pathway to Pearl Harbor. Look forward to all of that. Sue Henry show next, Rob O'Donnell show after that. But for now, my Bacardo Jewelers watch says it's 12 o'clock. That means I got to go. Have a great afternoon as we gavel to a close. This meeting, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon.